Right, so here we go. We're going to be looking through our place value notebook. We're going to open up to the first page, and that is our table of contents. It tells you everything that we're going to be covering and what page numbers you can find it on. Let's go ahead and get started. So we have our vocabulary for our place value. So the first one is digit. And a digit is, digits are put together to form a number. So that includes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Those are our digits. So our definition, digits are put together to form a number. All right, so that is a digit. Next we have a whole number. So an example of that, I have 526. So whole numbers have a value of 1 or more. Okay, next we have a decimal. A decimal, an example would be 0 and 5/10. Decimals are part of a one whole. Decimals are parts of one whole. Okay, so next we have, our next vocabulary word is round. So an example would be 538 rounded to the nearest 10 is, so I'm going to look at my tens place, look at the neighbor. 8 is greater than 5, so my 3 becomes a 4, so 540. Okay, so our definition is going to be to find the nearest ten, hundred, thousand, so on. to make calculations easier. Okay, next we have a number line. So it already gives us our example. So this is, it's kind of hard to see, so I'm going to make it bigger. There's a 0, and there's a 1 right here in the middle, a 0.5. Okay, so that is a number line. Those are numbers shown as a distance from 0. All right, our next vocabulary word is standard form. This is the way that you're used to seeing numbers. So for example, 345. So this is the regular way to write a number. Okay, so next we have word form. Word form is when you spell it out. So using that same number, I'm going to say 345. Okay, so that is having our digits and place values. They are written in words. And something that is important to know for how to write numbers in word form, the reason why that's important is because it's used on checks. So the value cannot be changed. So that's important for when you get older, when you have paychecks. It's important so that the value can't be changed. Okay, here we have expanded form. So I'm going to take my same number that I've been working with, this 345. So written in expanded form, we would have 300 plus 40 plus 5. 345. So this is a way to write a number that shows the value of each digit. All right, we're actually going to skip this one for now, so you can go ahead and put an X through expanded notation. We're going to put an X through the expression. Those are things that we're going to address later on in the year. Okay, so I'm going to go over to my next definitions. So my tenths place. My first number here is my tenths place. So if you divide one whole, so my little model here is one whole, you divide that into 10 equal parts. Tenths is the way to describe the value of these parts. So if I colored in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if I colored in 5 tenths, I would say that that is 0 and 5 tenths. So for our definition, if you divide one whole into 10 parts, this place, meaning this place value, describes how many parts a number has. All right, so now that's tenths. Now we're going to look at hundredths. Okay, so if I take my 10 columns in my tenths place and I have 10 lines across, or I'm sorry, 10 rows across, that would create a hundredths grid. So the total is still one whole, but now there's 100 parts. So if I color in 1, 2, 3, 3 hundredths, I would represent that as 0 and 0 and 3 hundredths. Okay, so for my definition, if you divide one whole into 100 parts, this place describes how many parts a number has. All right, so next we have our numerator. So if I color in 1, I have 1 out of 10 colored in. So the numerator describes the number of parts being either shaded, colored in, or being considered. All right, so the bottom number in my fraction, okay, so these are equal, so I still have one part. So the bottom of my fraction is called the denominator. And the denominator describes the total number of parts. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 total parts. So the denominator describes the total number of parts that make one whole. Okay. So now we have a pictorial model. So that is a model that represents the number, or I'm sorry, it represents a number with a picture. So on my hundredths grid, I'm going to do 10, 20, 30 hundredths, or 1, 2, 3 tenths. I'm going to represent that with 0 and 30, or 30 hundredths, or 3 tenths. So a pictorial model is a model that represents a number with a picture. All right, and that is our vocabulary part of our place value unit.